Okay, well, welcome to Billy's Books. I'm going to try to do a nice, discreet, there's people nearby park book review. This is another Star Wars book. It's from the High Republic series. This one's by Claudia Gray. It's called Into the Dark. It is synchronous with other High Republic stories I reviewed recently, where there is a big accident that happens in hyperspace where stuff comes crashing down into all sorts of solar systems. So this crew of people in a small ship called the Vessel, they are in hyperspace and have to suddenly abort hyperspace, and they end up on this space station that's abandoned. It's an ancient space station, and it seems to have a lot of garden stuff. It seems like it's got a lot of foliage and things like that. Sort of a built-in jungle and stuff like that. But it also seems to have this really the dark force seems to be all over the station, and they find these statues. So basically, there's a few Jedi who had rented out a ship to. Their intent was to go to Starlight Beacon, which is the new big space station that's mentioned as the sort of the goal to unite the galaxy or whatever, or certainly help unite it. Anyway, so they rent a space. They rent a ship. Their original ship, these Jedi are going to take, had a problem, so they ended up renting this from these people from the Bine Space Guild or Trading Guild, so the crew of this guild people are a hippie guy, a teenage girl named Affy, and a rock named Geode, and it's very funny because they always talk about him as he's the navigator and stuff, and for the humans and stuff, they just look at him and they see a rock, and they always talk about Geode having, he's part of the crew and everything like that, and they thank him for finding finding the coordinates and stuff like that, but you actually never see him move, but they always refer to him as Geode had the decency to not speak up in this moment, being sensitive to the conversations and things like that. It's pretty funny running joke that way. Our protagonist hero is Reath Silas. He's a Padawan, and he's kind of it's funny. It's a book about a bookish Jedi. So he has been enjoying the archives back in Coruscant, but his assignment with his master was to go to Starlight Beacon, which he was very apprehensive about, because he's like, I'm not scared of adventure, but I think I'm best a researcher, and all this stuff. And he has to, come to terms with the fact that he really is scared a lot of the time and stuff like that. But he's been trained well because, he's such a good researcher, he's such a good student that he did all his homework, so he knows how to fence and all that stuff with his little lightsaber. Anyway, so there's a few Jedi, including that Padawan. One of the main Jedi gets killed during this hyperspace accident that is galaxy-wise. But they eventually end up on this space station with that lighting is just terrible. They eventually end up on the space station with the plants and the forces and things like that. There's also they have to, because they're Jedi, they have to help other people also quickly land at the space station, who are also jumping out of the hyperspace. And our hero, Padawan Reath Silas, seems to be attracted to one of this woman named Nan and her sort of grandfatherly person who is supposedly taking care of her because she's cute and she flirts with him and stuff like that. So that's another angle. So there's a lot of characters in this, as there always are in these Star Wars movie, and of course there's a flashback, which is a sub-story between two of the other Jedi. And of course they're trying to learn their lessons from 25 years ago in this sub-story and apply it to this story, which is problematic. Anyway, one of the other characters is one of the other Jedi is a kid named Dez, who also trained with the same guy, with the same master as Reath Silas. And then there's a master who's also a researcher, who's kind of Vulcan-like. Then there's another Jedi named Orla Jareni, who was in the flashback stories, she and Comac, the Vulcan type, the two of them. And of course they're opposite, because he's all very by the book and things like that, and she's very wild and decided that she's going to be independent. It looks like I'm about to run out of time, so if you can't do a review. What you gonna do when the satellites drop, when the satellites drop?